So Taylor Honea, Cedar Creek Media, with Coach Hudson here, of course, athletics director and head coach of your Mabank Panthers. So, Coach pulled even this last week, went to 1-1, beat Kemp 20-6. So, 20-7. A lot of good things to work or build upon over the week, but a lot of things to work on as well. So, how do we use the win this week to further ourselves and practice this? Getting ready for Will's point. Sorry.
Well, I think, when you add a new offense to the scenario, you need every week, you need every game, and so we just have to get a little better. Offensively, I thought we moved the ball well, especially early. We don't have game breakers, so we take our 8 yards. That's what we are, and so people have to, coaches have to realize that's what we are. And we don't have 300-pound offensive linemen that can crush a side down and do all that, but we can also use technique and we can get our 8 yards and go to the next play. So I thought we did that well. I thought we tried some different things as we had a lead. Tried some plays that a little more passing that we're not used to and stuff like that, and that kind of put us behind the sticks a little bit on a couple drives there in the first and second half. On each half had a drive that was like that. But, I thought Kemp did a good job of just keeping the ball away from us. We've always kind of played that game for as long as I've been here. So they kind of threw it back at us and said, okay, we'll keep the ball away from you. And I think they had an 8-minute drive and a couple 6-minute drives. And so, when you run that time down, there's not enough possessions to open a lead up. And so, my hat's off to them to do that. I thought in the second half, you could kind of tell they were going both ways and we weren't, especially as we got into, later in the third and early in the fourth. So, that is what it is. But I think Kemp was, well coached and they did a hell of a job, to be honest with you. But we have to look at it and just keep improving. I thought we didn't have the screw ups, running, calling plays and getting the right play in on time. We tried to get it in a little earlier this time, so we weren't running right up to the clock. Defensively, I don't think we took a step back, but they did some other things. They saw some stuff we did against Bullard that Bullard didn't take advantage of, and they did it. And so, we've got to get better at those things defensively. And when they're changing plays, we got to move around a little bit. We can't stay in one spot because they're changing it to that spot. So, it's just little things here and there, but, working some kinks out offensively, and get some things going. But I think Gibbs had 4 or 5 catches. There were still some people, we're still throwing it to 3 or 4 people are getting catches, 2 or 3 people running the ball. So, it's spread out, to 6 to 7 guys that are having offensive production. But I thought the line, I don't know if they got better, but just by us all running the same play made us better. So that was nice to see. We got to work on our steps. We got a couple young ones in there that they don't realize how important it is. And so the good thing is when you play some pretty good defensive linemen, you realize the importance of what Coach is talking about and pay a little more attention. So I can see them working on that this week. I thought the kids have done a good job of paying attention to work on those things they need to get better at. But, we're not going to, add a bunch of stuff this week, and we just got to get better at doing what we do. And, but I look forward to fixing those little things and see if they get fixed out there. That first week, just the play calling was so different than what they're used to. And, it's just a whole lot of adjustment that first game. And so they settled in, those first 2 drives and went down and scored. And, number one, we need to do that every game. We need to start the game off with a touchdown, especially if you have to receive the kickoff. So I thought that in itself, you're setting yourself up to win when you can do things like that. So we've got to do those things again. Will's Point, I think, is a really good football team. I think they're a lot better than they have been. And they got a big old running back that's hard to tackle. They got a good-sized quarterback that runs the ball a lot. And so, we've got to play a little better on defense. And we've got to understand our gaps and our holes and where our alignments are and stuff like that. But, again, that comes, that's why you play the games. Bullard, had the same screw-ups we did. Kemp had the same screw ups we did. Everybody still deals with screw ups, and so we've got to build on that, and we fixed some things, but we got to make a lot of things better this week against Wills Point.
Okay, well, and you talked about a few different people getting touches, but one of the more impressive aspects for me on the offense this week was the kind of fire and ice combination of Wheeler, Ranford, and then Cam Wilkinson. So, of course, Ranford goes for over 100 yards for the first time in the season in the second game of the season, but then Wilkinson punches it in twice. So they're different built guys. They have a different running style. So What is it like for you? Again, this offense used to be predominantly running, and again, still an identity of this team. But to have two different running backs that can have two different skill sets, what does that that versatility open up for y'all?
It changes a little bit of how we call plays, not a lot. The bad part was I felt bad for Wheeler. He was in all those drives that we scored on were long drives. And he had a lot to do with them, but he was tuckered out by the time we got to the 20. So I'd pull him out, and he's sucking wind, and then we'd score in 2 plays. And he's like, the first time he gets it. Well, the second time it happens again, he's like, Coach, are you serious? So the next time we tried to switch him to where Cam went in early, and that way he could get the touch and try to get in, and I forget what happened, but we punted or something. But I told him, I said, you're going to get it. Don't worry. But it was one of those deals where both those, both the big drives were long drives. And then, then we got down there close to the goal line off that punt mishandle. And it was early in the drive. So Cam went in, and you tell the kid, you get the first couple of plays, they don't see it as, why I'm doing it, why I said it. So Cam went in those first couple plays, and we scored in 4 plays. So Cam gets another touchdown. And it's like, it's never your intention as a coach. Sometimes it's hard to keep up with. Wheeler has a good way of letting you know. And so, And I told him, I was like, guys, I left him in at the end of the game. I was like, just bust one. And he never could just slither out of that last tackle. But he does a good job for us. He's a great kid. He's great to be around. He wasn't mad at all or anything like that. But as a coach, you see it. And I was like, guys, you're going to have to switch with them, how we're doing this, because it's going on forever. We get on these long drives. So anyways, he's going to get a touchdown. He's going to get his chance. But, yeah, it's kind of odd that, your 100-yard rusher doesn't get a touchdown.
Well, and in that same vein, though, it really does seem like Wheeler it was almost night and day difference to me, the feel that it seemed he had from week 1 to week 2. He seemed like he found the hole, a lot during week 2. So is that something that you guys work on throughout the week? Or he just seemed to find the exact right spot every single time he got the ball?
Well, it was what Wheeler and everybody else doesn't realize. Wheeler didn't play last year. So Wheeler separated his elbow at the Wills Point scrimmage, which was the first scrimmage of the year.
Okay.
That was the last time he had played football and played running back. That is not the last time Cam. So Cam has a little bit better feel of where those holes are and stuff because he's got a year on him, And so, and one reason we left him in at the end, Cam's like, you want me to go in? I said, no. I said, let him finish it, whether we score or not, but let him finish it because he's getting better. And you could tell he was seeing some cutback alleys and stuff like that, and he needs the touches. If we're going to rely on him during district and everything, he's got to get the touches because he spent a whole year on sidelines when he dislocated that elbow. And so, that's one part of not, 50-50 on him right now or anything else, but it really is. A lot of it has to do with he hadn't touched the ball in a year. He hasn't seen full speed lineman blocking in a year. So, saying that, it's nothing against him or anybody else. It's, he's got to get some touches. And, you walk Cam in here right now, it's exactly what I told him. I said, Wheeler needs to stay in because he's getting better right now. He is seeing things that he wasn't seeing last game. He is getting better, and he's got to keep getting better. So, that was the reason we kept him in right there at the end. But, no, he does a great job. Great kid, great young man. Does wonders for everybody. But it's just he's a little step behind when it comes to seeing, and it's because he hasn't played.
Sure, absolutely, and that's one of those coaching isms. You cannot simulate the speed of a game, and so until you get out there and actually get reps in a live game, it's just impossible to simulate. So, all right, Coach. Well, let's get you out of here on this one. So, you talked a little bit about it. Big running back, big quarterback, but what can we expect out of Will's Point here tonight?
Well, I think offensively they look a lot like us. I think they're going to now. I think they run their quarterback more than we do. So offensively, you're going to see a lot of the same motions, a lot of the same sets, a lot of the same routes. To be honest with you, it kind of looks like we've been talking. Now I know, they're 5 top coaches over there probably. I've known some of them for a while, and so they do a great job. They really do, and they have done a great job. But we had scrimmaged Will's Point the last 2 years. I thought we handled them pretty well. But they've changed. They've gotten a lot better. A lot of their kids have grown up. It looks like on film. But I think they're a lot better than people gave them credit for at the beginning of the year. So we've got to put our head on straight and go out there and play disciplined football, play our football, and take advantage of what they'll give us. But you're going defensively, they kind of look a little bit like us too. I've known that defense coordinator for quite a while. And he used to be the head coach at Kemp too. My first couple of years here. So, we've all been around each other. We know what to expect, but it's their quarterback's really good. He runs some zone reads, and he'll get behind that big running back sometimes, let him lead up. And then, your biggest worry is always when someone has a big running back is, can you tackle the big running back? Can you make him go to the ground quick and not get drugged for 4 yards? So I think that could be the difference in the game. Can we tackle that running back? And the quarterback. I'm really not sure. I don't look on people's height and weight and think they're telling the truth. So when we get out there, I'll see how big the quarterback is. We've played against them in a scrimmage, but that was a long time ago. And when we scrimmage people, I'm really worried about us, not them. And so I didn't pay that close attention to the quarterback, but he looks like a good-sized kid. But can we get those 2 to the ground? And if we can get those 2 to the ground at first contact, I think the game will fare well for us. If we struggle getting those 2 to the ground at first contact, and they're getting the second, third contact, then we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle getting off the field on defense. And so offensively, they got a big defensive tackle that's really good. That I'm really impressed with. I mean, he's an all-district defensive tackle already. I think he's that good, and just a solid set of linebackers. And so that big running back will play defensive end. So we got to handle him. But I think offensively we got to take care of the ball. Not have stupid turnovers. Kemp, we almost turned that ball over there in the end zone. And Wheeler would have got the touchdown, but the quarterback hit the lead back with the tip of the ball, and it went off his arm.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It went off the lead back's arm, so Wheeler never got it, and Wheeler would have walked in, but Wheeler never gets it, and so that was actually Wheeler's touchdown. He should have had, but he didn't. But we can't have those things happen. When you play good football teams, you can't just give them the ball back, and so. We got to cut out some of those mistakes, but I thought they got better from week to week, so hopefully we can just get better at those mistakes. But if we'll eliminate some mistakes offensively, I think we can move the ball. But I think one mistake by an offensive lineman, and you might lose 3 yards. And so we've got to be on our P's and Q's and do what we're supposed to do. But I think it's a different style. Both teams are built different. Like our skills in different spots. If that makes any sense. But we're very similar. I think both communities are kind of similar. We've always kind of looked like them a little bit. So when I say all that, I just I think the first 2 years I was here, they beat us, and then we beat them for 3. And it's like Bullard. We all kind of go back and forth, and so. I think this year we're pretty even, so I think it's going to be a great game. And if they turn the ball over 2 times, I think we got a great chance of winning. If we turn it over 2 times, I think they got a great chance of winning. So I think it's one of those games where it's going to come down small, and or somebody's going to make a couple early mistakes and get jumped on early, and another one can't catch back up that quick. So I think either one of those two scenarios can happen pretty easily. But like I said, they're a good football team. They really are, and I think it's one of the better football teams I've seen them have in a long time. So I think it's a good challenge for us. It'll be good for us to prepare for Canton and then for district. And so, but I look forward to it, and hope our kids continue to play hard and like they have, and we'll have a good night.
Yes, sir. Well, it sounds like two heavyweights walking out in the 10th round just meet right there in the middle of the mat. You know what I mean? So, and those are the best. Those are the best games to watch.
I think it'll be a good high school football. I mean, if you want to pay your $5 to get in, for 2.5 hours of entertainment, I can't tell how many people complain about ticket prices. I'm like, it's $5 an hour. $5 for 2.5, 3 hours of entertainment. You'll be all right.
$1.50 an hour. You'll be okay.
So, but I think it is. I think it's going to be just a really good football. I think the Bullard game was just a good football game. I think both offenses were, a little stagnant, but I think it's going to be one of those. It's going to be a good football game.
Yes, sir.
And so the team who makes less mistakes going to win, and don't let them jump on you because they'll take off running. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, sir. Well, get the DVRs ready, folks. Well, Coach, we appreciate your time this week. You have a great rest of the week.
Yes.